Hello and welcome to the audio-visual commentary for Finding Nemo. I'm Andrew Stanton, the director of the film.
And I'm Lee Unkrich, the co-director.
I'm Bob Peterson, the co-writer of Finding Nemo.
You're about to watch the entire movie with a very unique commentary where Lee, Bob, and I will not only be talking about the film, but it'll also cut to video clips that show different aspects of how we made the movie.
Your DVD player will automatically go to these video clips, play them, and then jump you right back to the audio commentary.
If you ever want to skip over the video segment, just hit the next button on your remote. So now you can sit back, relax.
Hey, whoa. I didn't get my close-up. You and Lee both got a close-up. I want a close-up.
All right, fine. You can wrap it up.
Thank you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the audiovisual commentary presentation of Finding Nemo. What?
The anemone tendrils you see in the test really just are Sully's hair. The hairs are fatter, they're a different color, they're tapered at the end, and they're being pulled up instead of pushed down by gravity, and they're waving around. Other than that, it's really just hair. The final anemone was much more complicated than that. Each tendril is really a cloth sac. There's a lot more control over how they move, and of course they look completely different. The tendrils getting out of the way of the little ball as it goes through is an automatic thing. Nobody had to animate that. The simulation just does that. Most of the time, once you get it set up, that works pretty well, but sometimes, well, I really don't want this tendril here, I have to get out of the way.
There were definitely some situations where the tendrils around the characters didn't do the right thing just out of the simulation. So Cameron Miyazaki, one of our new guys, we gave him the challenge of animating the tendrils. He animated them and beautifully well, and that's what you see in the film today. It's 99% simulation and 1% animation.
And look up at the moon. Just like tonight.
And we lived on a big house on the edge of the reef.
No, it was small.
But it was surrounded by billions of hungry sharks.
No, just some seaweed. And a clam. And we lived happily next to a roaring volcano.
A volcano? Really?
No, it was a regular house on a regular reef, and it was just perfect for us.
What did I look like?
Well, you were so little, I could hold you in my fit.
I remember somebody looking at me. What did Mommy look like?
She was very pretty.
And then the ocean took Mommy away?
That's right, it did.
To light the reef, it takes probably about 10 broad lights, but then when you add the characters, it could take up to 100 or more. There's a key light, which is kind of an overall bright light that determines the direction of the light. There'll be the caustic light, that dancing light on the ground that's coming through the water. There's also a bounce light, usually from the sand. It's kind of a low-level bounce coming back up onto your props and fish. There'll be an overall kind of bluish fill. There's the murk and the fog lights. And when you put all those together, you get this gorgeous-looking reef.
Well, I do know one that's pretty good. A mollusk swims up to it. No, he doesn't swim up. What is he? He was already there. And a sea cucumber is standing next to him. They don't stand, they grow in one place, but they do lean. Let me start over. There was a sea mollusk and a sea cucumber, and they were like friends. No, they didn't know each other, because now one's going to ask something that a friend wouldn't know. The sea cucumber looks over to the mollusk, right? And he doesn't really look, he sort of glances. Actually, he was in the middle of a sneeze. That's sort of the important thing, because you got to imagine the sea cucumber sneezing. So he sneezes, and then you know the way you do when you sneeze, your head sort of turns accidentally somewhere. So he looks over to the right, and he sees the mollusk. And so he looks at the mollusk, and he says, "Hey, not during low tide." I didn't get that exactly right. See, let me tell you something. The mark of a really funny fish, the joke doesn't have to go exactly right. It's delivery.
Back in A Bug's Life, we discovered that presenting nature on screen meant simplification. We went diving, and we discovered that a coral reef could be broken down into 3 simple ideas: tall vertical things, big flat horizontal things, and round masses. So if you ignore the ground plane and the ceiling that is the ocean surface. You could have a three-dimensional environment where you had those three ideas that you could present to an audience. That was our formula for constructing the coral reef.
Nemo? Mr. Ray? Nemo! Mr. Ray!
I was swimming along and I couldn't find any food, so I just decided to hang out the other day.
My son was about 5, so this would have been about 98, I think. And I had not seen him a lot because of a lot of work on Bugs Life, and so I wanted to spend some time with him. I said, so let's go take a walk. And so my little 5-year-old and we went out, and we were just going to walk down about 2 blocks to the park. And I thought, oh, some father-son time. And I spent the whole walk just going, stay away from the curb. Don't touch that. You don't know where that's been. Oh, careful from that. Oh, there's a car. Oh, be careful of that branch. You know, and I just spent the whole time correcting him and overprotective and making sure he didn't get hurt. And I just remember this other part of myself, watching myself going, you are just losing every opportunity. You're just missing out right now on being present with your son. And that just, I couldn't stop thinking about that. And I thought, geez, you know, here I am just wanting so badly to be a good father, yet I'm not achieving that. And so I thought, what a ironic dilemma. I thought, you know, fear can deny a good father from being one. And that intrigued me. And that became the missing link to putting all the pieces together for what ultimately became Finding Nemo. Okay, so you're like this really panicked little chicken fish. And you see Nemo swimming out all the way, and you just go, just whatever comes to mind, Kathy, whatever comes to your mind, that's what you think that character would be, just shut it out, just let it out.
Oh my gosh! Nemo's swimming on the sea!
Yes!
Yay! Kathy Ringgold.
I think we'll use that. And so he's out there swimming, and it's getting later and later. He's been asking fish after every fish. Excuse me, have you seen my dad? Have you seen him? Have you seen my son? I'm looking at my son. He's on this boat. But nobody will help him. Nobody at all. The rest of the gang are all behind Nemo. They're all going, Riley, we got to get you out. There's got to be a way to get you out. And they try to put their heads together. How do we get him out? How do we get you out? I heard of something once. This is risky. It may not work, but I heard of a fish from another fish that did this once. It's called flush, rush, and you're out. And Nemo goes, oh, it's okay. I'm looking for somebody too. We can look together. Oh, thank you. You're so nice. Oh, I'm Dory. I'm Nemo. Nemo. That's a nice name. And Nemo, what? Guess what? Sea turtles. I met one. And they're 150 years old. Really? Yeah. Because Sandy Plankton said they're 350 years old. I just always remember looking at fish and sensing how much light went through them. So that was one of the first things I sort of threw at them. I said, can we make that?
What makes fish look so different from just a piece of plastic, basically, is that there's several layers working together with light to create this look.
And for a long time, we didn't have a word for it, a phrase for it. And finally, I was just like, well, it's like gummy bears. It's like when you put the gummy bears, you can hold a light. And so it ended up becoming the catchphrase. We just call it the gummy effect.
Father and Nemo, their illumination is probably 80% this gummy substance in them, and then we just augment with surface lighting to get it to look like, you know, they've got some sort of surface on top of all that so you can read their face. Because if they're too gummy, then you can't see any detail, you can't read any expression. So it's like finding that right balance to get them to look like they're both glowy and readable at the same time.
Start, got the ball.
Hey, a game! Hey, can I play? Pick me! Me! Can I play?
The object is simple. Whatever you do,
do not drop the ball.
Okay, let's play. There we go. Catch!
She's got it! Woo! All right! We caught it! Woo! We caught it!
Oh, very nice. Well, I'm a nice shark.
Hey, what happens if you drop it? Oh, okay. I get it. I get it!
Except bloody dolphins.
Except stinking dolphins.
Oh, look at me, I'm a flippin' little dolphin. Let me flip for you, ain't I something?
Oh, look at me, I'm a flippin' little dolphin. Let me flip for you, I know something.
Right then, today's meeting is step 5, bring a fish friend. Right then, today's meeting is step 5, bring a fish friend.
An important feeling of underwater, especially like World War II ships that end up at the bottom of the ocean, is that they rest and they decay. Smacking in of a huge great white shark into a door would release a bunch of sort of rust particles, silt, which had settled onto that stuff would get knocked up, and the water would get a lot murkier locally in that area, and then you see the silt kind of puff up and then settle back out. The key thing about doing silt and making it believable really has to do not so much with how it gets kicked up. Dust also responds on top of your refrigerator. You smack top of fridge, your dust will kick up in the air. It has to do with how it settles out. And things slow down a lot faster in water. Water is way more viscous than air, as people know. And so when Bruce the shark knocks silt off a door or off the ground or something, as it is ejected into the water around him, it sort of flies in quickly, but then immediately slows down, is eased out by the water, and then gently settles out due to gravity. But once it's in the air, if Bruce's tail then sort of swims by and kicks it, it all has to react to that as well. Keeping track of all those dynamic interactions underwater is quite difficult to do. We spent a lot of time and attention to make that look believable. And when it's done right in a shot, suddenly that adds a whole different additional level of believability to being underwater, which is a key story point in the film. An explosion underwater has some different sort of properties than ones in air do. You typically get this fireball that goes big, goes small again, and leaves behind it a mushroom cloud of smoke that rises up through the water. Lighting also plays a huge component in connecting each one of the explosions to the ones that are local to it, so that when one of these things popped off, it would flash on all its neighbors, who would also then move them out. They'd pop off, they'd light the ones next to them, and carry on and so forth, all the way through the entire set until the whole thing just went up one big popcorn explosion of red and orange and yellow and horribleness.
What did you think when you found out that a character had been named after you?
I think it's great. I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag because she's kind of is it the word villain? I have played a million practical jokes on Mr. Andrew Stanton, and I think he's just his way of getting me back.
Klaus, the pinata's drooping. No, E equals MC squared, and you know it as well as I do.
You have a bad haircut, not me.
Who's there? Banana who? Aren't you glad? Big money! No whammies.
These 3 tiki heads are actual caricatures of Pixar employees.
Andrew was very clear that he wanted this shot like we've never done before at Pixar, and so we used an extremely wide lens, which allowed us to get the camera really close to everything in the tank. And we're moving incredibly fast through a very small space, hitting very specific visual marks to tie in with his story.